When I'm beefing, I don't squash it.
What's good, everybody? What's get? It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, or E.S. Red, if that's what you won't call me. And we are back for another one. Alright, y'all. New topic. How Terence Crawford benefits from less money for Errol Spence Jr. fight. Alright, y'all. So, on the road to getting this fight made, a lot of news came out today. I don't know how much of it is true, but Espinoza had a few things to say regarding the negotiation process and what's going on behind the scenes, behind closed doors, why the fight hasn't come to fruition yet, why these two fighters may not get it on this year. Look, I do believe the fight is going to happen. I 100% believe this fight will eventually happen. It has to happen. Otherwise, both of these guys are going to get placed up against some mandatories that they have no business being in the ring with. Because one of those mandatories can whoop some A's. So, how does Terence Crawford benefit? Well, what did Espinoza have to say first? Basically, he had to say that the negotiations have stalled and, things are a little touch and go at the moment behind the scenes when it comes to the negotiating process. And when I say negotiating process, look, Errol Spence has already agreed to whatever he needs to agree with. It's Terence Crawford. They are still trying to please Terence Crawford. Is all of this necessary? It depends on who you ask. Is Terence Crawford worth the amount of money he's asking for? No. Everybody in the room knows no, except for him. But here's the thing. In negotiation, he who stalls the negotiation usually wins in the end. Because you can't make this fight without both parties. And when you have someone in a catch-22 like that in a negotiation process, you're eventually going to get what you want as long as you hold out long enough. Now, he might not get the full amount that he's asking for, but believe me, they're going to give him more money. They don't have a choice but to give him more money, Otherwise, both parties would just have to walk away, and this is going to be a huge stain on boxing. Now, is Terence Crawford going to get bit in the end of all of this if he doesn't make this fight and then fans find out he held out for $2 or $3 million or something like that? There will be a backlash, believe me. How far in the future that backlash comes, I don't know yet, but eventually there will be a backlash for this. So, how does Terence Crawford benefit from taking less money? How does he benefit from just getting the fight signed, ready to go, getting in the ring with Errol Spence and getting this thing over with? Number one, he's not going to have to deal with that backlash I was just talking about, because eventually, if this fight does not happen, if fans don't get what they want out of this fight, if we got to wait 2, 3, 4 more years, when they're 38, 39 years old, like we had to do for Maypac, I think fans are going to severely turn on Terence Crawford. And because it's Terence Crawford who's holding it up, you can't blame this one on Errol Spence Jr. in any way. Whether you feel like he's not giving Terence Crawford enough, it's not even him who's shelling out the money, number one. For all you people saying, well, is Errol Spence Jr. not offering enough? Errol Spence Jr. ain't offering nothing. He's not paying himself to fight. He's not putting up the money for the fight. So it's not Errol Spence Jr. dictating what Terence Crawford deserves. It is the people fronting the money. And believe me, they got all the nerdy glasses wearing people in the world, punching all type of numbers, trying to figure out what this fight is worth. And they know what it's worth. They know what Crawford's worth. They know what Spence is worth. So, for anybody who's saying that it's Errol Spence Jr. not offering enough, you really just need to punch yourself in the face because you have no idea what you're talking about. So, number one, he can get rid of that backlash I was just talking about. Number two, he stands to make still, even at $10 million, even if they're only offering him 10 mil, which I doubt, I'm pretty sure somewhere around 15 that they offering him. That's still the biggest payday of his boxing career by times almost 3. He's normally used to getting 4, maybe 5 million, but usually around the $3.5 to $4 million. $10 million is almost triple what you're normally getting, and what you was getting from Bob Arum was already on the high end. So, he stands to get the biggest payday of his life by taking this fight. And if he wins, oh boy, if he wins, then you can command any dollar amount that you want. The rematch is going to bring you so much money, you're not even going to be able to spend it in your lifetime. So, it's, I really don't understand his motivation for not signing at this point, because financially he stands to benefit from taking a smaller percentage on the first fight, especially if you're confident that he seems so overly confident he's going to win, that he is the boogeyman and all this other crap. I mean, if you're that confident, just take the fight, beat him, and move on to the next one and get your humongous payday. I mean, you can offer Spence $5 million for the rematch. You don't get nothing. You wanted to make my life such a living hell about the first fight. Now I'm going to do the same thing to you in the rematch, and nobody can argue with you at that point. You have no argument. And not only that, you have no promoter. So you stand to make so much money off of that rematch. It is unimaginable. It is unfathomable. Nobody can imagine the dollar amount that Terence Crawford would actually generate for that rematch, except for Terence Crawford. He, in his mind, would be able to say, okay, well, this is what I want. Hey, I want $50 million for that. I don't even have a promoter. I'm going to get my full $50 million if I beat him in the first one, and then I'm able to get a rematch. You could clear for 2 fights nearly $60 to $70 million for 2 fights. And this is what's so ridiculous about the fact that if you're that confident in yourself that you won't sign the contract. And on top of all of that, there are going to be so many promoters coming after him, offering so many different types of deals. If he was to beat Errol Spence and become undisputed, you're talking about ridiculous amounts of money. And back-end money. There's going to be back-end money involved in it. And I didn't even mention the back-end money for the rematch. If he would be able to clear $50 million easy for the rematch, just, as the purse. And then the back-end money that he would get is through the roof. So, it would greatly benefit him just to take the fight. Just go ahead and take the fight for what it is. Let it play out. You know you're going to win. Well, at least in your mind, you're going to win. So why are you stalling this process out? Why are you putting your own fans through this? Why are you putting the rest of the boxing world? Because I'm going to tell you one thing. I feel like he's preparing to lose. I feel like he knows he's going to lose. He knows he can't win. And he wants the biggest payday for losing. But if he's that confident, if you're that confident in yourself, there is no doubt in my mind that you should have already signed that contract by now, and that you should have just went ahead and beaten Errol Spence Jr. and gotten it over with. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's that confident for real. And at the end of the day, I think going into retirement, he wants to make sure he's secure for the rest of his life, just in case. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing: if he does lose to Errol Spence Jr., no promoter is gonna want to deal with him ever again. No, because of this negotiation process has been so ridiculously drawn out, and they've offered him way more than what he deserves. If he loses, of course he's going to get a rematch. I'm pretty sure there's a rematch clause. But after that, what promoter is going to want to deal with you? Because they know that you're bogus in the negotiating room. They know that you overprice yourself. They know that you are hard to work with. So, me personally, I feel like he's preparing to lose because he knows all of this. Basically, he knows how effed up he is to deal with. So it is what it is, man. I think I'm done rambling for now. Hit that like button for me. Share, subscribe. Tell a friend. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. But you're more than likely to get a response on YouTube. So holler at me over there if you want a response. It's your boy, Cardinal Bud Crawford, E.S. Red, if that's what you want, call me. And we are mine.
Clothes standing on top of shit and smoking gelato.